Hi, this is Bill Vick. I have the pleasure of talking to a fellow warrior and friend, Curt Campbell. And Curt has been in the Dallas area now for several months. I guess I will call him a semi Texan. He came down here from Phoenix. And Curt is, by training, he's really a scientist engineer. He helped me understand what I was buying when I bought my Apple Watch, because I had this vision of having something I could wear when I'm moving and exercising and doing everything. What I found out, it doesn't work quite that way, and it's okay for some things. Some things it's great. I love the watch. I'd buy it again, even though oxygen is highly questionable. And I'm gonna let Curt explain why and how. But I just did a thing here when we're sitting here, kind of talking back and forth. And like many of us, I've got multiple. I call them tools and toys. Like I have two different pulse oxes. I use. I actually have four. This one here is my go-to accurate one. It's medical grade. It's also Bluetooth enabled. So any reading I take on this device goes automatically to my phone, and then I use a software program from a company called Patient Empower that records my heart rate and my oxygen sat rates. I also feed into it my blood pressure and other things. But we're going to talk about this versus this, and I love them both. But Curt, you have taken this stuff and picked it apart and put it back together again. And just talk a little bit about your background, because you're really an interesting guy. You're an engineer, and just tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm an engineer, and I worked on the Saturn V rocket, did launch tower clearance studies and stage separation studies, Monte Carlo analysis. And then I went to work for what is now Honeywell in Phoenix, doing the first 9 years, I did nothing but research. And in that time, I got 3 US patents because of the work I did. But I absolutely loved the research and the flexibility associated with it. And then was pushed into product work, if you will, where I was doing the development side of the fence. And I was an FAA designated engineering rep and had the authority to sign off and approve the development and test stages in both systems and software for autopilots, display systems, flight management systems, air data systems. So that's kind of where I've been, always working in, quote, the aerospace, and once was rockets, and then about 29 years with airplanes. So
Well,
that's
what really impressed me, Curt, is when I posted, I was looking at the Apple Watch, and I, I'm I'm what I call a closet techie. I love all that stuff, and I've been buying Apple products forever. I had actually ordered an Apple One before Apple Computer as a company existed, from Wozniak and Jobs when they were still in the garage. So I go back to this stuff forever. And so when I posted I was going to get an Apple Watch, Curt came back with a little note. This is his note looking at about his analysis of the Apple Watch and why he thought it would or would not be an accurate device, and how it worked for getting oxygen. And I was so impressed with it. I just said to myself, I said, no, here's a guy I've got to get to know better first and foremost. And I read carefully what he said. So I blindly went ahead and got the watch. I got it. And it came, and first day I had it charged and I was all excited about it. And it does a lot of things really nice. I use it extensively for like text messaging and calendar appointments, and occasionally a phone call, which looks really stupid when I'm kind of talking to my wrist to somebody, but it works. And it's really a great device. But the oxygen, not so much. And Curt was so right. It gives me ratings. Like, as an example, I get multiple devices. This guy here is I calibrate it anytime I get around a doctor or hospital that has a legitimate medical grade pulse ox system, and it's really accurate. It's pretty close, maybe within 0.2% or something, but it's really accurate. I got a bunch of them sitting around Walgreen Quality or Costco or whatever, and it's pretty good. They're not expensive. They anywhere from 30, 40, $50, give or take. This guy was, I think, about $250, and not something that everybody needs or wants, but I'm just that kind of person. So, and this one also is Bluetooth, meaning that when I use it, it talks to my phone and it records my readings. So, example, if I'm exercising, my phone and my watch are recording how many steps I take. And when I do take my oxygen sats, primarily with my pulse oximeter, not my watch, but they're all recorded, and that recording is something I can share with my doctor. So if I can't get to my doctor because of COVID or whatever reason, I can take and send him a report and saying, here's what it looked like for the last week. I have a spirometer. I give him my spirometer readings for my saturation levels from that perspective. I give him my pulse ox readings, all of that. He gets that, makes a diagnosis in his own, and says, hey, we better come down and talk to me, or let's set up a telemedicine call, which we do. So that works out fine. But what Curt pointed out, and Curt, you gave so much great information. How did you go about the process? I mean, how did you do it? I know it all happens up here. I understand that, but how did you put this all together in the way you did, with in the depth of analysis of why this is or is not what we need?
Okay, what I started with was, well, let me back up to the beginning. When I first heard that the Apple 6 watch had the capability for oxygenation, I was very excited. The context of that is that I go on 2-mile walks just about every day, and when I do so, I have with me my portable oxygen concentrator, and I have a finger pulse ox. So I viewed this as an opportunity to ditch the finger oximeter and go just off my watch. And so I called Apple to find out more about the product. And then when I got off the phone, I realized the information that I'd gotten had some holes in it. I called them again to get further information. And then in addition, someone sent me about a 3-page write-up on the device itself. So between the telephone calls and this write-up, I put together this expose, or whatever you will, of delineating how the thing works, what are the pros, what are the cons of the device. So what I found out was that to take a reading, an oxygen reading, you must first of all be static, not moving at all. The watch must be face up and steady. You have to hit the blood oxygen app, and then you hit it to start the process, and it takes 15 seconds for it to get a reading. Okay, this is fine, but in the environment that I wanted, it didn't serve my needs. So what I found out was it's on a demand-only type device. It's not in a dynamic environment. Further in questioning Apple, found out that there's no documented range of readings for the device in terms of oxygen levels, be it 60 to 100 or whatever, and that the accuracy across that range is also not documented. So that kind of left me, looking at some. The way I look at this thing is basically, it's a heck of a good first step. It's the first step of many that are required to get it to the environment and use that I would like to see. That is basically that I can use it when I'm walking, and be able to get accurate readings from it. So that's what I'm looking for, which is not there now, but there is the potential for some time in the future that Apple will put it together and get it into the dynamic environment. So that's what I'm hoping for, and the sooner the better. I'd like to ditch the pulse oximeter on my finger.
Yeah. It's a dream of everyone that does any exercise at all, I think, Kurt. And the other thing we talked about, let's just touch on it a little bit, is about oxygen and how you handle desaturation. And what you do is, I think, very, very wise and very smart. You have a little portable unit, and we both know it doesn't give you as much as perhaps you think it does, but it does give you enough. So if you're sedentary or you're having light exercise, it's more than adequate. It gives about 1.27 liters per minute, regardless of the setting. That's all it can kick out. And then you also have a floor unit. Then you have, which gives you about 5, or I think now you have one that gives you about 6. I've got 3. I've got one that's, I have a pulse portable unit, a little Inogen that I use when I fly because I'm sedentary and it works. In my office, where I have an elliptical machine that I use during the day, every hour, give or take, I'll use it. I can get about 5 out of my floor unit. In our media room, or what we call our snug, I have a Millennium that I can get up to 10 out of. So if I do about a 45-minute fast walk every day, and I use that at about 7-8 liters per minute. And then I have a liquid oxygen tank if I get serious about outside exercise I have. So I've got like a lot of toys and tools and resources to use, and they all have a different piece and fit. But tell me how you're doing what you do. When you're walking, you're using your portable unit. Does that give you enough saturation to bring you into that safe zone of 90 plus?
Well, it does now because I am now using a setting of 3 on the Inogen G4 unit. And I'm typically running there about 90 to 94%. And the way I breathe is, or try to most of the time, is to take a deep breath in, hold it for a few seconds, and then exhale. Now, if I do this consistently, I can always keep it within range. If I get sloppy, then it can get down to 88. And then I have, basically I can speed up my breathing or whatever to try and bring it up, or I just flat stop walking until I get it back up into 90 or above, and then I'm fine. In the path that I take for walking, it's up and down, with, the terrain. So I've learned where I have to be particularly careful, and that's when I'm going uphill, because it's more demand on my body to do so. So I watch it more carefully there than I do like when I'm on flat or I'm going, quote, downhill, because I can sometimes get up to about 97, 98 on a jaunt downhill, but coming uphill is a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
And so I watch it very carefully at those times and take corrective action if I get down into the high 80s to take care of the problem.
You've ever had a friend that every time you see him, you kind of smile and laugh and talk, but they say complimentary things to you and you feel real good about them? That's my watch. The reading is always higher than it should be. So this morning, I got a reading of 99. And I thought to myself, wow, I'm really doing good. I haven't seen 99 in a couple of years. I came in my office, sat down and picked up my good pulse ox. I was actually at 92. Big, big difference. So my advice would be, as a user of this watch, I love the watch. I use it constantly every day for lots of things, but make sure you have a good pulse ox or other backup system to get accurate readings, because this ain't going to make it happen. And Curt, thank you for your insights and your time, and really just being you. You're a warrior. Glad you're one of us and you joined us, and you're part of our warrior family. And your insights are something that if somebody wants me to share this with them, the document you produce, I'm happy to do it. Maybe we should just put this in our library online so people can simply download it. And I think we have right now close to 100 articles, books, pamphlets, and our member only or patient only online resource at PF Warriors, the group PF Warriors, not the page, but our special group you have to register for. And I'll make this part of it, and I'll make sure it has your name written all over it too. Okay.
Oh, that's fine. I don't care about that.
All
It's
right. Hey,
just
Curt.
mainly I'm interested in getting the information out to people. And, this is perhaps more detailed than a lot of people would be wanting, but I feel that's the best way they can take what they want from
It's like a smorgasbord of information. You kind of pick and choose. Yeah.
it, right?
All right. Hey,
Okay.
Curt, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Bill. I appreciate the work you do with the PF Warriors.